Hello everyone and welcome to the I'm a Coconut YouTube channel. My name is Amrit Chenava and I'm your host. And in today's episode of the podcast, I will be talking about mastering yourself from Miyamoto Musashi's perspective. But before I go forward, I want to tell you all something quite interesting. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded any episode to the podcast, and it's because I've been busy with a lot of things going on in my life. I'm busy with my startup work, which is basically a housing real estate tech startup. And if you're a startup person, your life is 24/7 dedicated towards what you're building. And that's why I've been busy with that. But why am I doing this podcast anyway? That's because I love to have a conversation myself and I want to be strong emotionally and mentally, which is why just like a diary about my life, I'm basically documenting what I'm doing, what I'm learning, and basically sharing that. But I would most likely consider it as a conversation with my own self that I'm basically putting out publicly. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to come back to the future and listen to what I've learned from the past. And let's say if I go through any tough phase in life, something quite challenging, I want to come back, listen to my old self telling how you face it. But anyone is happy to come and listen to this podcast because I strongly believe what I learned from life, I just want to share it. I just don't want to keep it to myself because I want to make the world a happier place, and that's why I'm doing this. But with that said, I will tell you all something quite more interesting, and that's quite new that I'm doing this podcast. It's like another short minor update. Now, if you're listening to this on a platform Spotify, Apple Podcasts, JioSaavn, wherever you're listening to it, and it's like a platform where you mostly listen to songs, you probably won't see my face because this is a video podcast. It's available on YouTube as well. So I'm actually talking live. So you can see my face as I'm talking. So I'll be doing this without any edits or animations because I just want to keep it low budget. I don't want to spend much time on animation or edits because that's not who I am. I'm just a guy who wants to build apps and that's it. And also just record my voice talking about certain topics. So if you want me to add edits, animations, please do let me know. I will do that. But with that said, let's get started. So I've been reading a bunch of books about historical figures, about philosophers, about athletes, like biographies of successful people like athletes, business figures, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists. And also I've been reading a bunch of books on, as I mentioned earlier, historical figures, philosophy, and many other things. But I mostly read books about philosophy because that's even more interesting. And it correlates to entrepreneurship because in philosophers, they think about an idea, they think about this one new thing, and they focus on the execution of how practical that idea is. Entrepreneurs do the same thing. They find a problem, they find a solution, which is basically their idea, and they focus on how they can execute it, make it into reality, from theory to practicality. Now, one of the most interesting books I've read on philosophy is by this author called Ryan Holiday. He has written books like Daily Stoic, The Obstacle is the Way, and many other books. And he does a lot of content around meditations by Marcus Aurelius. He was one of the Roman empires, like ancient Roman empire, like he was the emperor back in the day. And this was in BCs, so I'm not sure when he was. But apparently he was one of the best Roman emperors because he was very calm, he was very subtle, and that's why probably everyone knows about Marcus Aurelius and the book Meditations. Now he has written this book called The Obstacle is the Way, and the book is all about how you master a challenge in life and then move forward. Because everything that happens in life, it is going to happen, but how you react is very important. So the book's fundamental focus is on that concept. So there's one interesting chapter where he's talking about this historical figure called Miyamoto Musashi. He was a samurai warrior that lived back in the 16th century. Now, if you don't know what a samurai warrior is, samurai warriors are these people, they're like soldiers, you would say. They had these swords, like that's most of what they focus on. The katana sword, that's the, I don't know exact pronunciation, but we say it katana. So with the katana sword, that's what they mainly used. And they used to go for battles, they used to go for wars, but most importantly, they used to do duels as well, where two people come and fight with each other to the death. And this was very common back in the day. This was before humans actually evolved into being, hey, let's be peaceful. This was back during those times. And this was around 300 to 400 years back, the story that I'm talking about right now. So Miyamoto Musashi fought over 60 plus people in duel and won. And in most of these duels, he did not have anything, no armor, no weapon, nothing, and he won. And he did not face any weak opponent. These were strong elite warriors who won countless number of battles. And they had strong katanas, strong weapons, and they were coming forward facing this guy. And Miyamoto Musashi somehow without any weapon, was able to emerge victorious over his strong opponents. Now you might be wondering, how is that even possible? Because these are people who fought countless number of battles, and if you know how the stories were back then, you know it was very ruthless, it was very brutal, and this guy somehow ended up winning. So he has written a book called The Book of Five Rings, where he talks about all of this. So I think later in his life he became a monk or something, where after winning all these battles, all these duels, become one of the most celebrated warriors of his time, to a monk living a peaceful life. So in the Book of Five Rings, one of the things he talks about is mastering yourself emotionally, mentally, and being strong. So one of the things he talks about, the first one is that anger. Now, if you don't have control over your anger, and if you're angry about some random person, let's say you're angry about your friend who's hurt you, or some random person just like who happened to be quite rude to you, and you're angry about him, and you spend a lot of time thinking, that person has made me upset, that person has ruined my day. The more you keep thinking about it, there's something you have to notice over here. The control is, you don't have control over yourself, you don't have control of the situation. That person that you're thinking about has control over you. Because when you think about it deeply and reflect on it, that's actually the truth. Because you're spending time thinking about some person who's not even thinking about you. Then and there itself, you have lost the plot. Because some random person has control over you. They don't know it, you don't know it, but that's what it is. So you need to have control over your anger. And one of the most important thing here is that, and it's not like what he mentioned, but something that I noticed is that the more angry you are, it affects your health. It especially affects your cardiovascular health, which is your heart health. So try to be happy, try to live life in the present, and try to be yourself. And trust me, anger is not good for anyone, because the more angry you are, it can destroy relationships, it can burn bridges, because that's very important for you. But this is my favorite part of the book, and I haven't read the Book of Five Rings. It's through the book The Obstacle is the Way, where he has referenced it, and he has briefly talked about it, but in a very beautiful way. I'm trying to get a hold of the book, and one day I'll do an episode on it. But he talks with the two eyes. The first one is the observing eye, which is your two eyes, where I'm seeing the world as it is. Like, I'm recording from an iPad, I'm seeing myself, a beautiful world. That's what it is. It's like reality as it is. Now, there's also the perceiving eye, the second eye. Now, this is where things get quite tricky and complicated, because the perceiving eye is where you are seeing reality as it is. That's where the emotions come in. That's where the interpretation comes in. That's where the perception comes in. For example, I'm looking at the iPad and I can see a dust, or I can see there's no mic. I actually have a mic for some reason. I'm just charging, but I just want to get this out there. So my mind is thinking, Amrit, you don't have a mic. Probably the audio quality will be bad. Amrit, look at this thing. It's not going to look good. Like, I can probably think about those and let it affect me. But again, that's my perceiving eye telling me all the stuff. It's not real. It's just my perception. It's just what my mind is thinking right now and telling me all the stuff. You have the option to like neglect it, or to take it hard and let that have an impact over you. Now let me take two examples of the perceiving eye, because in case it's not clear for you. The first one is that I'm a huge fan of shawarma. I love shawarma. That's one of my favorite foods. And one of the most recent trends that I've seen right now is that some random shawarma spot is going to open. They're literally selling the same shawarma, but people are just going to go there for one reason: not to eat the shawarma. They're just going to take the phones out, grab a picture. Hey everyone, I went to the spot, and they just want the world to know, hey, I went there. Now again, I'm going to see this, someone else is going to see this post, and they're going to be like, oh, this person went there, I also want to go there. But not for the shawarma, because you just have the feeling, I have to go there. I don't care if I eat the shawarma or not. I want people to know that I've been there. Now the reality is that there's a shawarma spot. They're literally saying the same thing. I can get the same shawarma in a different place. The only difference is that your mind is convincing you that everyone has gone there, you have to go, so that you can let others know. You don't actually have to go there. That's your choice. But your mind, your perceiving eye, is telling you, you have to go there. Otherwise, FOMO, fear of missing out. So, as I mentioned, FOMO, that's a part of perceiving eye. That's not reality. That's basically your mind telling you, like, it's emotionally playing around with you. Now, this is very common. A lot of it happens. For example, I use an iPhone 12. Now we're living at the time of iPhone 16. A lot of people tell me, get iPhone 16, get iPhone 15. But again, my phone, I can just make a phone call with it. I can watch videos in it. I don't see the need to buy an iPhone 16. Apart from the fact that it has a good camera, but I actually don't take much pictures. Like, I literally don't take any pictures. So I don't see the need for it. So this is the example of the perceiving eye and the observing eye. The observing eye being that it's just a phone. One has better features. but it does the same thing. I can call someone. Again, with the shawarma spot, it's the same shawarma. It's like literally selling shawarma. They might be better, they might be worse, but I don't need to go there just for the sake of like telling the world, hey, I've been there. So again, having control of yourself is very important. Now, the second example that I'm going to talk about is, let's say at work, your manager has assigned you some task. You completed it, but there are some minor hiccups. So you have a meeting, like before the meeting, you actually submitted the task, successfully completed, but there's one minor hiccup. And then in the meeting, you have to present it to your entire team. But your mind is telling you, there's this minor hiccup, someone's going to bring it up, I might lose my job, something's going to happen, I might get a shouting. At the end of the day, you're just overthinking. And this is a problem that a lot of people face, because especially if you work at a company, you're going to realize this is a very common problem. So at the end of the day, you complete the task, you've had a minor hiccup, but after the meeting is over, everything went quite well, and nothing that you thought about happened. This is because you're overthinking about it. You're allowing your emotions, all those negative thoughts, to have the driver's seat, and the logic and rational to have the back seat. So when you think about it, reality is more beautiful than what it is. But unfortunately, your mind is programmed to think negatively. And that's stopping you from seeing the bigger picture, that, hey, things are just fine as it is, but I'm just thinking negatively. So when you think about what Miyamoto Musashi tells, mastering yourself is very important. Being present in the moment is very important. Because when you think about it, reality is beautiful, but you yourself allowing your day to be ruined, but it's not. So all in all, mastering yourself is very, very important. Emotionally, mentally, or I don't know how you can put it, but for me, I see it in emotional, mentally way, mastering yourself. And that's something I also challenge with, and that's something I want to overcome. Hopefully one day I will, and hopefully I can read the book of 5 inch and make a better episode where I'm detailing it out. With that said, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'll be uploading more episodes over the week, over the months, but I'll definitely be being more consistent with it. On all platforms, available as a video as well. If you want edits, animations, let me know. I'll be adding that as well. And if you like what I'm doing, please do share it with your family, friends, and loved ones. It's available on all streaming platforms. And if you want to support me, you can support me and buy me at a coffee. The link is right below. Thank you so much. Master yourself. Trust me, life is amazing. Do not overthink, because look at this, like, you're living a beautiful life. Just be happy. Ignore all the negative thoughts. You'll be fine. Thank you.